Hello, Khushamded and Swagat. Thank you for tuning into the second edition of Dynamic 365 Urdu Hindi Bootcamp today. We hope and pray that you and your loved ones are safe during these challenging times. We welcome you all to this broadcast organized by the Pakistan User Group. Pakistan User Group is a community created with an intention to provide a pivotal platform for the country's IT professionals, entrepreneurs, business application users, and students to collaborate on upskilling, effective networking, and other areas of common interest, adding value for a growth-centric skilled industry.
D365 Urdu Hindi Bootcamp is a recurring event targeting to promote upskilling in Microsoft technologies and aims to eliminate language barriers to learning.
The event hosts a diverse array of industry-leading speakers covering the greatest and the latest of Microsoft product and platforms such as Dynamics 365 ERP applications, customer engagement, Microsoft Power Platform, Azure, artificial intelligence, and beyond.
This community-led event welcomes participants from around the globe. We offer content in English, Urdu, and Hindi languages.
This year, Bootcamp will be a 3-day event with 70 plus speakers participating from more than 10 different countries across the globe. Bootcamp session will cover a range of Microsoft products, our speakers, and share their key knowledge and experience on a variety of topics.
This will be a great learning opportunity for IT professionals, client application users, and our students who are ready to embark their career journeys in Microsoft technologies.
We are so thankful to our wonderful speakers, Microsoft MVPs, and Microsoft professionals for submitting their insightful sessions, as without them, this event would not have been possible.
I'm really thankful to all our sponsors as True Growth, Massive Global, and Barhead Solutions who have supported us in the overall planning and execution of this event.
And last but not the least, thank you to our amazing team of community leaders and volunteers who managed this event, working tirelessly over the past few months.
Thank you so much, Muhammad Alam, for joining us today and for giving us this opportunity for being a part of Pakistan User Group. We really appreciate your time and efforts you have been doing for the whole community, and we are very glad to have you today. With this one, I would like to thank on behalf of my whole team from Pakistan User Group for joining us today. It's been a completely team effort, and again, the floor is set for you. Please feel free to share your screen, and thank you so much again.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you okay, sir.
Okay. Let me know when you can see my screen. Well, good. Thank you for having me in this session, and thank you for the community to get organized in such a fashion from around the world. And particularly, I'm excited about the Pakistan User Group as well. I think, I've spoken with some of the organizers, and they're really excited about the session. They're really gracious about having me on the session. But I'll tell you, I think I'm probably more excited than some of the organizers and some of the participants in being at this session, particularly because of my roots in Pakistan as well. So I'm excited about the energy, the momentum, the community coming together. And I thought what I'd do before we get into sort of the meat of the session is get a little bit more specific in terms of where in Pakistan I'm from, which I think for those that are familiar with the region might find it interesting. That I grew up in Federal Bay Area in Karachi in Pakistan. I spent a good number of years in Pakistan and have some really, really fond memories. So seeing this community sprout up, seeing our customers, honestly, we have a large number of customers in Dynamics 365 in the region pop up has been really, really good and heartwarming for me. I think the thing that I wish we would have been able to do, and hopefully we can do that next year, is actually do this session in person. And I'd be happy to, I'll sort of commit that a year in advance for Fazil and the team. Like if we do this again, I'd happy to sort of come in person and do the session, because I'll take any opportunity to come visit the region as well. There's a lot that I miss, and I thought I'd be a little bit more specific in terms of what are the things that I miss. I certainly miss the people, sort of the area and all the fun that we had, but particularly this time of the year when we're doing the conference, the biggest thing that I miss is mangoes. And hopefully the picture here comes out okay, but I'll tell you, this has to be like at the top of page one for me on what I miss in the region. And hopefully the people that are in Pakistan are enjoying it, but the ones that are in the US, like myself, we don't really get to enjoy some of the awesome mangoes that come from the region in Pakistan or India from that perspective. What I do to make up for not being in Pakistan in the mango season is, our family does take a 2-week trip to Canada, to Toronto every year in the summer, because they import sort of fresh mangoes from Pakistan almost in every flight that comes in. So we just almost have our own mango fest in Pakistan. So I hope people that are there and people that are in the regions where you do get these mangoes are enjoying it. And I look forward to hopefully next year doing this in person. I do know one of the reasons why we're not doing this in person is because of the pandemic. So I hope everybody on the call, so your friends, your families are doing well and staying healthy. It's been sort of heartbreaking to see what our colleagues and friends in India went through over the course of the last few months, and just kind of the havoc that the Delta variant continues to spread as well in the world. So I hope everybody's doing safe, everybody's staying healthy, everybody you love is staying healthy and well as well. But with that, sort of I digress a little bit. Let's sort of get back into the agenda. So my name, hopefully everybody knows, is Mohammed Alam, and I am responsible for Dynamics 365 applications at Microsoft from a product strategy perspective, from a product development perspective, from an engineering perspective, and service operations perspective. And I'll tell you, personally, for me, it's been a very satisfying role. If you look at some of the applications that we have here on this slide, we have what we believe is the world's most modern, most intelligent, and fastest growing set of applications that cover both the front office, i.e. sort of Salesforce automation, customer service, field service applications, as well as the back office in a modern, intelligent way. And the thing that's been differentiating us and why we've been doing so well and why we're one of the fastest growing applications is we've got the broadest portfolio that hopefully everybody here is familiar with, but it's also built atop the Microsoft cloud. So Microsoft Dynamics, which is sort of the Uber brand for all of those applications, is built upon Power Platform, which is the world's leading low-code, no-code sort of platform in the world, and the fastest growing as well. So essentially all the capabilities that you see in Power BI, in Power Apps, in Power Automate, Power Virtual Agents are natively part of Dynamics 365. And not just that, and as if that in and of itself wasn't enough. And I know this whole weekend for you is dedicated in those two boxes here on the middle right. But it's built on top of Azure, which sort of provides the global scale, global presence, identity, security, management, and compliance, and integrated with Microsoft 365, which includes Teams and Office. And if you look at this combination, which we're now calling sort of Microsoft Cloud, all of this offers sort of this unique set of value proposition for our customers that's really hard for anybody in the world to compete against. So it's not a surprise that we're seeing this set of applications get the kind of accolades that we're getting from analysts and the growth rate that we're seeing. I've got just some of the applications here. If you look at sales, customer service, field service, these applications have been leader in the Gartner Magic Quadrants for many years now. Finance, SCM, and commerce are relatively new in the SaaS world. These were introduced about 4 or 5 years ago. finance came pretty close to hitting the leader quadrant in the Gartner Core Financials Magic Quadrant in 2021. We didn't make it, but we're pretty close. We're really excited about participating next year. I think one of the things that we are working on, the reason why we didn't make the finance leader quadrant was financial planning and analysis. So we're continuing to drive product innovation to make sure that our customers that are betting on us feel like they're betting on a platform that's there for them for the long haul. Supply chain management, this one's due for a refresh in 2021. We're showing the 2020 results here. We were the most visionary amongst all sort of product-centric ERP providers out there. The 2021 MQ is supposed to come out in the next few weeks, and we're fully expecting us to be a leader in this space in 2021. So fingers crossed, we'll see how the MQ lands in the next few months. Commerce, again, something that's new for us, for those that have been following us. We landed e-commerce for B2C for our business to consumer customers, as well as B2B, business to business e-commerce this year, and B2C came in last year. But just having been in market for about 18 months now, we're already a major player in IDC. So if you sort of go back and think about the breadth of the applications we have from front office to back office, and that uniquely built upon Power Platform that gives you the world's low-code, no-code capabilities essentially as a feature of the application, and that sitting on top of the Microsoft cloud of Azure with Microsoft Teams, with LinkedIn, just sort of creates this value proposition and this momentum that's really hard to beat. We literally just announced last week, 2 days ago, I think 3 days ago, our fiscal year 2021 results. Microsoft's financial year runs from July to June. So we literally 3 days ago announced our full fiscal 21 results, where Dynamics 365 just continues to grow at a pretty large number at 43%, which is why we feel confident saying, hey, this is one of the world's fastest growing set of applications in the world. And, you know, if you remember in last year's earning in fiscal year 2020, most of you may not, but we actually announced publicly that as of a year ago, we were more than $2 billion in the cloud, over $3 billion in total. And that continues to grow at a pretty phenomenal pace. So it's not a small business. The base of our revenue is pretty large now, in multiples of billions, being used by over 50,000 customers across the breadth of Dynamics 365 applications. You know, a bunch of them in Fortune 500, but I did a quick count, I think yesterday, trying to see how many we had that are actually in Pakistan from which I thought might be relevant for this user group. I think we at least have over 30 that I could count from memory and from discussions with our colleagues that are using Dynamics 365 in the region from an ERP perspective. And then we have a lot more that are using it from a customer engagement perspective. So I think this is what really excites me, as I talked about in the beginning, which is the community coming together the way they are, the way you guys are. The lineup of the sessions for the weekend looks really, really exciting. I'm happy to invest my time and time of my team to be able to make sure we can bring the product leaders in front of you directly to answer questions, to provide view on the roadmap in terms of where we're going, but also the customers. Our customers are just the reason why we do all the things that we do. And it's awesome to see the momentum, certainly globally, but also in the region as well, which is, in large part, thanks to your effort and the passion and the commitment and the dedication that this group has. And I thought I'd also share sort of this quote from Satya. Some of you might have seen it, some of you might not have, but Satya says, Microsoft 365, Dynamics 365, and Power Platform on top of what we're doing with Azure is the core of what we're doing as a company. It's a pretty deep statement, because if you look at the four things that he calls out in this statement, Microsoft 365, which is Teams and Office, Dynamics 365 and Power Platform, and Azure, two of these things are what we're about. One of them is Dynamics 365, which is what I'm personally responsible for, but that's built upon Power Platform. which is what business applications at Microsoft is responsible for. So, from an excitement perspective, there's a tremendous amount of excitement within Microsoft as well in terms of what we're doing. And I hope this excitement sort of transcends into sort of the community of partners, of customers, and of aspiring students that are looking to build their careers on what technology, what company, what disruption should they build upon. That they'll select Dynamics 365 and Power Platform because it's just so core to what we are doing as a company. So that's a little bit about kind of how we're doing as a product team, as a business. I'll say for those in the community that have been with us for a number of years, getting to this place hasn't been an easy journey. If you rewind the clock, maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago when we were sort of nascent in the cloud with our applications, both on the customer engagement side and on the what was at the time called AX or finance and operations, there were a lot of challenges we were dealing with in the product. So we spent a lot of really hard years making sure that the core of the product from a fundamentals perspective, reliability, user experience, performance is just super resilient, super hardcore from that perspective. And then we started working on adding additional features, making the applications intelligent, infusing AI all over the application, and coming up with, frankly, new applications as well that we believe are super differentiating as well. So this journey has been a hard journey, but we feel that from where we are today and the momentum that we're seeing in the market, the feedback that we continue to get from our customers, the feedback that we continue to get from our partners is just amazing. I'll sort of highlight a couple of things that we've recently announced that sort of gives you an idea of where we're taking the applications from an investment perspective. If you sort of tuned into Inspire and the Business Applications Launch event and the Microsoft Business Applications Summit that we do, I hope you're all sort of tuning into those sessions because we spend a lot of energy communicating what we've just released into the market, what our strategy is, as well as kind of where we're going to go continue to invest. Those are great forums. But, we introduced customer journey orchestration, which is now GA as of, I think, a couple of days ago, but we introduced it in public preview a few months ago, which essentially allows you to orchestrate end customer journeys in a real-time, hyper-personalized basis in an event-driven way in our Dynamics 365 marketing applications, all driven by AI with GPT-3 giving you content suggestions with next best actions in terms of what you do, what is the right channel for the customers, the right channel for you to communicate with the customers in, and so forth. That's on the customer engagement side. On the supply chain side, we also announced intelligent order management that allows you to orchestrate order management without having to rip and replace your core supply chain systems of execution. So bringing in the intelligence and overlaying that on top of maybe some crusty supply chain execution systems that you might have with some of our competitors on-prem, highly customized that customers don't have the appetite to go replace. You can still sort of put intelligent order management on top of it and get the value that you're looking for. So we sort of went through this phase of fundamentals and reliability, then innovation, and sort of where we are is at a point that we're, while we feel really proud looking back that we've introduced a lot of awesome things in the product, sort of looking forward, we're even more excited in terms of where we're taking Dynamics 365. And I thought what I'd do is share with this group. So from an engineering perspective, from a product perspective, what do we see as the key opportunities areas, which you can also translate to the areas that from a product perspective where we're going to put a lot of engineering investment in. So engineering themes or investment themes, if you will, as to where the product's going to continue to evolve. And the way I think about this, the way we think about it from Microsoft perspective, there's sort of 4 core areas of disruption and opportunity, and that's where you can see us put a lot of investment. One is customer experience. I gave an example just a few minutes ago around customer journey orchestration, but being able to manage the experience, being able to help our customers manage the experience of their customers is going through a fundamental disruption, right? If you go back 2 decades ago, Salesforce.com essentially disrupted the CRM world by saying, hey, you can sort of work in a no software way, sort of SaaS CRM, and they built a pretty strong business on top of that. Today, SaaS CRM is commonplace. Everybody's doing SaaS CRM. The differentiation comes in those experiences. How are you changing what CRM is? CRM, whether it's on SaaS or on-prem, has historically been essentially a set of forms over a set of a set of entities and table relationships, if you will, that allowed you to capture your interactions with your customers. So if somebody called in, something broke down, you opened up your CRM applications, whether it's on-prem or on SaaS, and entered in the case, and then you sort of track the case in all the way through to resolution. Or if you had a lead, you opened up your Salesforce automation application and captured the lead all the way to when the lead was closed. Well, that's changing. We believe CRM is sort of an outdated construct, right? Now it's about not managing the interactions you've had with your customers, but the experience your customers having with your products and services, and how can you not just be aware of them, but how can you manage, influence, and orchestrate those experiences in a real-time, hyper real-time fashion, extremely personalized in an event-driven way. And this is where customer journey orchestration comes in. It starts with knowing your customers with customer insights. And then if you look at all the amazing innovation we have landed in the sales application with conversation intelligence, where soon as a seller hangs up a call, the call summary is already in front of the seller through our call intelligence, sort of speech to text AI that we've got infused with action items already predetermined that you can follow up on. And then that sort of applies in customer service as well. And a customer service agent hangs up a call. But customer experience is going through this, in short, this fundamental disruption of not just being an app that captures your interactions, but how do you sort of infuse it with AI and offer those personalized real-time experiences. And you're going to see us continue to invest more and more in this space. The second area of disruption that is exacerbated by the pandemic, but was already pretty disrupted even before the pandemic, is supply chains globally, right? There was a lot of geopolitical pressures in the world prior to the pandemic that were impacting supply chains. Pandemic obviously exposed the fragility of supply chains in a fashion and put a flashlight on top of it. And then even man-made or natural disasters impact supply chain left and right. If you think about the ship that got stuck in Suez Canal, it wasn't just about that ship that got stuck, right? And it wasn't about whether you as a company had any products on that ship or not. It was about the rest of the ships that got delayed, or it was about, hey, you don't know whether, that you may not have any products on that ship, but what you may not know is one of your suppliers' suppliers might have had something on that ship that's got delayed, that then in turn delays your manufacturing, your production, your ability to meet your customers' demands. So supply chains in general are going through tremendous disruption, and that for us is going to be a core area of investment as well. This is where intelligent order management comes in, which we announced a few months ago, and it's about to GA here in a couple of days. We've done a lot of amazing work in our core supply chain application with Cloud and Edge that allows organizations to be resilient to network outages, with the inventory service, with the planning service, and so forth. So think of this sort of as that next big area for us that we're investing in. The third area, which we're really excited about, and I don't know how many in this group have actually played with those applications that we have or spent time understanding it, but it's an area that I would highly encourage everybody to spend time in, is mixed reality and reality as a service, the computer vision application that we're putting out there. We believe fundamentally the role of frontline workers is going to change. Today, physical spaces like shop floor, retail stores, or warehouses, or you can even expand that to schools, clinics, and any place or offices, really you don't get the digital signals from them as you do in any web properties from a clickstream perspective. Computer vision or reality as a service allows you to take those video signals, convert them into digital signals, overlay them with transactional data, and then unlock a set of insights and next best action that will fundamentally transform how people work. And then with that proliferation of information and contextual information, what a frontline worker does is going to get more complicated. So this is where the mixed reality devices comes in, that mixed reality devices will allow you to see that information in a heads-up, hands-free way, in context and in the job that you're doing. So if you've looked at our Dynamics 365 Remote Assist application or Dynamics 365 Guides application, those have been growing literally at a 400 plus, 500 plus growth rate over the course of the last 18 months, driven by the pandemic, because it allows you to do work in an immersive way, have an expert sitting miles away, if not in a different country, be with you through that heads-up, hands-free device of HoloLens, and execute the task you need to execute in a way that's far more accurate and efficient than you would have been able to do without it. So this area will continue to be a big sort of area of investment for us. We're excited about connected store application that we announced. It's in public preview from Reality as a Service, and you'll see us announce a bunch more stuff here as well. And while in this slide it sits as a separate block, you should think about this as something that makes supply chains even better, makes customer experience even better as well, right? Because if you think about the remote assist application, that's about how field service technicians can have those devices and have experts sitting somewhere else that can make the repair of what the customer is trying to do even better. Or with the Guides application, how do you run operations or manufacturing even better? So that's the third area. The fourth area is SaaS ERP. I talked about CRM going through the transformation that it did 2 decades ago in moving to SaaS, with Salesforce.com sort of leading the charge. Well, 2 decades later, ERP is at the same stage as well, and we're seeing this phenomenal tailwind of customers that are sitting on a refresh cycle for their ERPs that are about to go out of service, or in some cases are out of service, and they want to move to the cloud as well. So if you look at our ERP portfolio, finance, supply chain, commerce, that's growing at a pace that's far higher than 43%. And we've got more than, we announced, this is a number we don't publicly share, but I'll share it here in this audience. We've got more than 6,000 customers in a little under 5 years that are using our SaaS ERP applications. And that's just for our core F&O. If you add Business Central, that is another 16,000 customers. So we believe that ERP is going through this fundamental transformation that CRM did 2 decades ago. But more importantly, in this sort of world of where ERP is going, we're actually leading in Dynamics 365. And this is where, if you go back to the Gartner slide or the analyst slide, we feel super confident that we're going to see us move into the leader quadrant as well. Because if you look at the customers, the feedback we're getting, the momentum that we have, the product truth that we have, and the AI that we continue to infuse, it's just super exciting. So I'll kind of wind up here a little bit, and then we'll hopefully take some questions here, because I think we've got some time set aside for that. So if there's any questions that you have, I'm happy to answer in the few minutes that we'll have after I finish speaking here. But if you think about from a product investment perspective, these are the 4 areas. I'll just sort of stop at this slide, which is, we talked about Dynamics 365. We talked about it built upon Power Platform, but there was a row above it, if you remember in the picture, that I didn't talk about, and that's our industry solutions. Over the course of the last 6 to 8 months, we've actually announced 5 Microsoft Clouds for industries: healthcare, retail, financial services, nonprofit, and manufacturing. And in the future, you'll see us sort of announce some more. But this is where we're bringing the goodness of everything else that sits down below the stack with Dynamics, with Microsoft 365 Power Platform, and provide that last mile relevancy for retailers, for healthcare providers, for financial services organizations, to say, hey, we actually have those last mile vertical solutions as well. And this is where we're not only doing work ourselves, but we have our super vibrant ISV ecosystem that also builds these last mile solutions that provides that vertical specificity as well. So hopefully all of this makes sense. I'll sort of hand it back to Fawad and the team there for any questions. But just as a quick recap, again, thank you for being in this session. I know it's odd times, and it's an investment for the weekend, but the agenda looked really exciting to me. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to see sort of this community of Urdu and Hindi speakers come together across the region, if you will, from that perspective. I know I've talked about sort of my roots in Pakistan, but I'll tell you, I've had the pleasure to visit India a few times over the course of the last 6-7 months as well, including Taj Mahal, which is just phenomenal. And I'll tell you, sort of the hospitality and the excitement and the passion, and obviously the customer and partner momentum there is pretty phenomenal as well. So I'm excited about this community coming together. I'm happy to continue to invest my personal time, and if there's anything my team can do, I'm happy to sort of lean in here as well. So with that, I'll hand it back to you, to the team, for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Alam. It was very informative. I need to ask you questions. What message would you like to give to our students who are watching but confused about choosing their career path?
I'll say this. I'll say two things. One, I'll sort of talk about kind of what I chose and why I did what I did. For those that don't know it, I'm actually a CPA. So I studied accounting in college and growing up, and I thought what I was going to go do is a lot of audits and a lot of sort of tax consulting work. But pretty soon I realized, hey, business applications and helping customers transform their business is what excites me and what makes me passionate. So I joined Ernst & Young in the beginning, did some consulting with SAP, with Oracle, doing supply chain business process reengineering. And I found that really exciting. And hence I've been in the business application space now for over 20 years. So I say that to make the point that whatever you choose something that you can find passion in and excitement in. Because otherwise, the thing that you're going to spend 8 hours a day, almost, all your weekdays and sometimes over the weekend, has to be something that you can actually find enjoyment out of. Otherwise, it becomes really, really hard. And if you can find something that you find you're passionate about and you can really get excited about, then work doesn't become work. And then success comes with it from that perspective. So that's thing number one. And then thing number two, hopefully selfishly, is you saw enough in the presentation here that, listen, if business applications and helping transform organizations to be more data first intelligent is kind of where your passion is, I think Dynamics and Power Platform is an awesome place to be. Not just because I'm from here, but I think with some of the analyst quotes, and I didn't even put the Power Platform analyst recommendations like Power Apps and Power Automate are all just squarely in the leader quadrant already. Power BI just couldn't get more to the far right and north in the leader quadrant as well. Like, we believe we're sitting at the cusp of being outright leaders in the space for all the value that we provide. So I think that Microsoft in general, Microsoft Cloud, Dynamics, and Power Platform are really good places to sort of attach to learn, to grow your careers. Similar to kind of where Salesforce was, I'd say 2 decades ago, or where SAP were many, many decades ago from that perspective. I think that we're sort of the leaders of the next phase of what the world is looking for in terms of business applications and capabilities. Hopefully that helped, Ruj.
Great. And you talk about working on weekends sometimes. So my next question is, we all know how successful you are. So how did you manage work-life balance? Like, is it necessary to work 24/7 to get success?
I mean, it's a really good question. I think you go through phases, right? At some point, I was single. And at some point, I also had a wife and didn't have any kids. So work-life balance was a little bit easier. But I will tell you, I think I'll go back to, if you're enjoying doing something, it doesn't feel like work. And that was true for me. And wherever I felt like in my career, I wanted to make a change, because I made a pretty hard change, pretty stark change, I'd say about 6 or 8 years ago, where initially I was doing consulting work for Dynamics, right? I was doing consulting work originally for SAP and Oracle and others. But I said, hey, listen, I've been at Microsoft for about eight years at the time. I like Dynamics, I like business applications, and I was good at consulting. I could go do consulting, but for, let's say, Azure or something else, because I could leverage those skills, or I could do Dynamics, but in a different role. And, I had to be honest to myself, like, I don't think I loved consulting as much as I loved business apps. And I said, listen, I'm going to go try doing business apps, but in a different role. Hence, I joined the product group and moved to Redmond from Atlanta. And I'll tell you, it was the right decision for me, because I built on one of the 2 areas of strength that I had, and that passion continued, if you will. But sort of to go back to your question, I'd be lying if I said I'm happy with my work-life balance. Anybody that tells you they're happy would probably be lying, or I'd say anybody that's got a lot of a lot of sort of responsibility on them, if you will, from that perspective. And it's something you need to answer for yourself in terms of where do you create the boundaries? How much time do you spend doing what? I've got 4 little kids, and it's important for me that I spend time with them. And I'll tell you, while COVID's been hard, this work from home has been in some ways a blessing, because I've been able to spend a lot of time with them during the day as well. I mean, I'm surprised one of them haven't run up into the video camera behind me to see what's going on my screen, but they regularly show up in my calls, regardless of whether it's in a customer or an event. But work-life balance is something everybody needs to sort of work on, and you need to know kind of where do you have to set the boundaries, when enough is enough, and be able to listen to clues from your friends and your family and your spouse and your kids to say, listen, you're not spending enough time with them, because they'll keep you honest. And then you need to find the right balance within sort of your ecosystem. It's something I don't think I've mastered yet. I continue to get better. I continue to want to spend more time. I continue to be excited about dynamics. I think it's just a lot of things that I'm doing balance. It's sort of a non-answer, but it's the most honest answer I can give you.
Yeah, we can at least try. Yeah. So let's see if we have audience questions. Oh.
Somebody from the area, that's awesome.
It's all good. That was awesome, Muhammad. It was really good. And you, as you have rightly mentioned here, it's all about passion. And this is all about passion. This is what we have. Everyone brought us today, and this all group, what we are working as a passionate. So really inspired with all your kind words and thank yous. Uruj, have you got any more questions for Muhammad? It's the best opportunity to ask any questions, guys.